I love printing. I love printing. I love it. I love printing. I have a great guest today. You might know his company. You should know his company. We have John Hazen from Hazen Paper. Welcome, John.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Thanks. So today I thought I would just change it up and go to the paper, specialty paper actually side of things. For those of you who don't know Hazen Paper, I'll tell you two reasons why you should. The first reason you should is since 2004, they have been supplying the paper, excuse me, to print the cover of the NFL Super Bowl souvenir catalog or brochure or program book or whatever everybody wants to call it.
Stadium edition. The stadium edition.
The stadium edition.
Right.
Excellent.
You can only get it in the stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now they make the book, but not holographic, that's distributed broadly.
Oh, so you got to have an expensive ticket to get the expensive cover.
Exactly. You have to go to the event. It's got the special, holographic shiny effect.
Yeah, I remember actually getting one of the books a few years ago as a sample. I think I still have it in a plastic bag somewhere because it's pretty cool. So the other
collect them.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure you have a whole collection of a few of them. Back in, I think it was 2015, it was the Grateful Dead's Fare Thee Well tour. And of course, I'm Deadhead. And actually knowing I was speaking to John and the picture was behind, I put on a Grateful Dead t-shirt or Dead and Company t-shirt just for the spirit. And I had seen that poster on one of your postings that you had supplied the paper to the artist. And I had called up your wife, Gloria. And I don't usually ask for things from anybody, but on the Dead side of things, why not? And she said, normally we don't do it or we can't do it or we don't have. And then one mysteriously showed up a few days later. And ever since then, it's been framed and sitting on my wall. So thank you for that.
Warren, you went to the absolutely correct person for that ask, because probably very few other people on the planet could have gotten that poster for you at that time. Gloria, who is a holographic expert and has represented Hazen Paper for 15 or so years, is now approaching retirement. That was her project. And it was a very secretive and high profile project. She actually, we're not a printer, right? Our customers are printers,
right?
But the artist asked, and the distributor asked her to approve the press startup. They weren't going to come out. So that was a fairly big responsibility. And she insisted upon keeping a press sheet, a single press sheet. Because after all, she was responsible for the color. So she needed to, have proof that that it was on color. And ultimately, that press sheet got signed. You got half of it, and another half of it is here and
cool. So real quickly, because we're going to go on talk about your company, I called you first when I saw that, and you blew me off. And then I tried your wife.
But that was smart. That was smart.
But I didn't tell her that I called you.
Well, that was even smarter.
Hey, listen, we all learn, right? So anyways, that's all great. And thank you for that. Real quickly, just tell my giant viewership of, I don't know, I think maybe I'm up to 30 now. Tell us a little bit about Hazen, because you make some spectacular paper, I'll say paper products, sheets and laminate sheets and all that, but tell us, please.
Okay. Well, so we're in Holyoke, Massachusetts. That's Western Massachusetts. I'm sitting in our main plant right now. We've been in operation throughout the pandemic. This is now it's my new studio is my office here. It looks like the set of Conan and O'Brien behind me here, but that's just the world of a holographer that likes to hang things on a wall. Company started in 1925. Most people would think of us generically as a foil laminator, as a, kind of a broad category. Foil can mean a lot of different things depending on context and industry. But traditionally, we would laminate aluminum foil, like giant rolls of Reynolds wrap, to paper and paperboard for, wide range of paper applications, everything from gift wrap to tickets to labels to folding cartons, magazine cover, Super Bowl program, posters. About 15 years ago, long story short, there was a lot of interest in custom holography. And one of the great success stories was, of course, the Colgate holographic packaging. In the packaging industry, that really changed the world of holography. And the folding carton industry got very interested in holography and custom holography. I would say, roughly 2002, 2003 timeframe. There had been a consolidation in the industry. Long story short, ITW ended up essentially buying up a lot of the mom and pop guys, the boutique guys that did holography. One of the independent holographers got acquired by API out of the UK. So suddenly there were not a lot of options in the market. And long story short, we had an opportunity to connect with some of the guys, some of the brains behind the origination group, whose name is slipping my mind right offhand, but that API acquired. And we ended up buying some technology from them and setting up our holographic lab in 2005. Long story short, we started to produce what we called comp sheets in late 2006. And a comp sheet would typically have 5 or 6 different types of holographic patterns. We would put those out, and Gloria was really at the vanguard of this. We would put those comp sheets out to as many designers as we could get them in front of. And early in 2007, things really started to happen where we would get orders for rather large quantities of custom holography on various, thicknesses and types of paper. One of the first big industries that unfortunately no longer really exists, but it was a great industry for us to cut our teeth in, with the holographic, was the DVD industry. And
yeah, really, hey, where did that go?
Yeah, that is totally gone now. It was dying a slow death, but COVID put it 6 feet under for sure.
Wow, eh?
But back in 2007, there was a tremendous appetite. The studios loved, high-end graphics on their DVD packaging, and ultimately Blu-ray packaging. And we had a great run for more than a decade with the DVD world. That was a lot of fun because the studios they had almost an insatiable appetite for things holographic.
Do you do a lot on the commercial side of print?
I wouldn't call it commercial print necessarily. Generally speaking, we're selling shiny paper to printers.
Okay.
And a folding carton manufacturer really is a hybrid printer. They also do folding, cutting, gluing.
Right.
That's really our biggest market segment is folding carton. Folding carton went through a rough ride in 2020 because, a lot of things changed. The retail marketplace, certainly, went through a massive, change in 2020. We've seen growth in the food side of the business, believe it or not, or food and beverage.
So if I go food and beverage and I'm just to be straight, like I'm thinking, what do you need anything flashy like that in food or beverage?
Think about it. Listen, I come to work every day. I've come to work every day throughout the pandemic. And in some ways, that's the same thing I was doing last year, and I still live in my own little vacuum. But I'm told that there's a big part of the world that actually goes to the supermarket.
Right.
And I have to admit, I occasionally do go to the supermarket. And one thing I'm finding is that the supermarket seems to be busier than ever. And, of course, when I say supermarket, that you could, take that more broadly,
yes.
To some of these big liquor stores, for example.
Superstores, right.
And, if you go to these, I don't go very often, but every so often I'll go to one of these big liquor stores. And I'm always amazed at how busy they are. You practically have to take a ticket. They're as big as the supermarket used to be.
I think with COVID, it's a terrible thing to say, but consumption's through the roof. I'll just tell you quickly, 2 things that I noticed during COVID. And I started doing a lot of walking because everything else is closed. I need exercise. And on garbage day, right, what I see is Amazon boxes, multiple boxes in every house in the driveway and the garbage. And everyone's got empty bottles of Grey Goose and all kinds of wines in the recycling bin. And I walk down the street and it's every house. So that's where all the people are in the store. They're all going home to drink. There's not much else to do.
I mean, it seems ironic to me that the malls apparently are dead. Now, I got to admit, again, I didn't go to the mall very much. Occasionally went twice a year, typically around Christmas, and
Right.
maybe once in the spring. But it does seem that the malls, relatively speaking, are not what they used to be. But you go to these superstores. We have these. You have your regular supermarkets; they're pretty big, and then you got your these bigger like Costco type
Right.
supermarkets.
Okay, but so you have all those people. I'm going to ask you again, where does the holographic come into the retail food and packaging? Like,
Well, so high-end liquor packaging.
okay, so we're
Um,
not so when you say food, I'm thinking
I
food, what I
should say
got to
food and
eat,
beverage, yeah.
which should be more spirits then to correct
No,
you.
that's certainly, and actually, now, and I, in some ways, I'm talking kind of broadly. We also do a lot of transfer metallization, which is somewhat, different than foil lamination because it's recyclable. It's an incredibly thin layer of metallization,
Okay,
like a
so
very,
give me a better, take 2 minutes and tell me, because you said it's in recyclable. So
yeah.
more people need to know about that today, because you got a nice look, it's shiny, you can make it look great, and you could help the environment. So what does that product for? What does you do with it?
Yes. Okay. So transfer metallization, our brand name is Envirofoil. And essentially what we're doing is we're creating a very shiny paper that looks like it's got almost a stainless steel or a chrome surface. The way that's accomplished, though, is that we take what's a transfer film and we put a polymer coating on the transfer film. We do that in Holyoke. Then we put that through a vacuum metallizer. We evaporate aluminum and we deposit the aluminum in an incredibly thin layer on the surface of the coated film. To give you a sense, first of all, that layer of aluminum is so thin it's actually translucent, so you can shine a light through it. And in terms of scientifically, it's 300 angstroms to if you wanted to try to get a sense of
Sorry, it's 300 what?
angstroms.
Right. Okay, so that's like engineer talk.
Yes, and I can't
Okay.
explain it to you.
And I don't understand it. It's okay.
It's a cool word. That's all I know.
Right. Okay, cool.
But it's incredibly thin, and so ultimately we then laminate that metallized transfer film to paper, and we remove the film, and we're able to reuse the film. The film ultimately gets recycled. It's a very lightweight PET film that is quite a commodity. The film unto itself. But what we end up with is this chrome-like surface on the paper. I call it the pineapple upside down cake because remember initially what we did was we took our transfer film and we put a polymer coating, a clear polymer coating down on the surface of the film. And that it's that polymer coating that actually is what's getting transferred. The aluminum layers on top of the polymer coating. So when you're done with your pineapple upside down cake and you remove the transfer film, the top surface is actually that polymer that we put down first, and then the aluminum is underneath it, and then the paper.
Sounds
And
very technical
well, I'm trying to describe it, in a way that
in
I
the
can.
layer, right?
Yeah,
How it's all sandwiched and what you're left
exactly.
with.
But so if we were to compare that to traditional aluminum foil in terms of the thickness of the structure, it's less than 10%. That transfer
Wow, so that's
surface.
good.
Yeah, it's less than 10% of a traditional aluminum foil, and it's less than like 5% of say half mil metallized polyester, which is a very common type of foil laminate.
Wow. So yeah,
You bought
pretty
quite a
cool.
bit of that yourself, Warren. I
Yeah,
think.
no, yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, no. I used to love anything fancy, special, different, that isn't white,
Yeah.
right? So question, how do you sell your goods? Are you selling them through merchants? Are you selling them direct through distributors?
Well, so some of all.
Okay,
So it depends, for a big printer or a big folding carton manufacturer, generally speaking, they're going to want to buy direct. It's a very technical relationship. It's almost like
right.
being an ink supplier. So you can't really have layers of different
People,
people in between. You got to be as direct as possible.
right. I agree.
However, there is still a big world that fits very well for us with the fine paper merchants and with paper merchants in general. And the reality is there are some very clever, paper brokers and merchants out there that, really do create value on their own. So it's a blend.
Well, I mean, you need those guys to sell the smaller volumes and the smaller kits to the different people, because you got to,
Exactly.
I mean, the mill has to concentrate on the big orders, skid it, truck it, and move it.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
You're not dealing with returns and complaints from printers on 300 sheets, 8.5, 11.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it does happen, but
oh, no, but that's why the different levels, right? The smaller the player, they deal over here, the bigger deals direct, and goes like
exactly.
that. No, that's cool. When we could travel, because I can't leave Canada right now, we're locked in. I absolutely want to come down and check out the mill. I think it'd be totally
you should,
cool.
because it's a fun tour. But I think for a lot of people, because we're in some very old industrial buildings in Holyoke. And so from the outside, it's like, wow, I step back in time 150 years. And literally, there were parts of this building that go to the 1840s.
Oh, I know. I was looking at the pictures before.
Yeah, so from an urban archaeology point of view, it's interesting. But we have a lot of high-tech equipment here, and that's kind of the fun and surprising thing about it, is that these are old paper mills, and if you've ever been in an old paper mill, they're multi-layers. They're the best man caves.
So I have a question, right? Modern paper mill, all the latest and greatest. Have you done any type of internal video that you could put out there that we could use to promote our industry of paper and print, that it's not old and dungy and gloomy? Because that's part of the problem, I think, in our industry, right?
Yeah, we're kind of working on a video like that right now, because we do a thing with the school system in Holyoke. It's called The World Is Our Classroom. And so for the past almost 20 years, every 5th grade classroom in Holyoke comes to Hazen for a day. And
cool.
And it's quite neat. The kids take a tour, they learn how to make paper, they have pizza lunch, there's a lot of show and tell, there's a career game.
Have you ever had, since you're doing that, someone that was in that grade 5 class that ended up working at the company?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be a cool story to write up.
Exactly. It is a very cool story. I mean, I remember vividly, it was one of my school head friends, kind of invented this. It's what they call a public-private partnership.
Right.
And they actually manage the World's Our Classroom. But she said to me, almost 20 years ago, someday these kids might work for you. And, I kind of just laughed to myself at the concept. But today they work here.
No, I think that would be totally cool. That would be a great, even a commercial for the local community.
That is a good idea. But what I was going to tell you is, of course, with the schools closed, the World Is Our Classroom's not taking place this season. And so what we're doing is we're working with this public-private group to put together a video that includes, a tour and some of what we would normally do in, direct interaction.
Right. Cool. I think that's totally awesome. I think everybody in our industry, whatever level you're at, has to do something to help educate and bring in the younger people, because as our industry is changing, it is pretty damn cool. And the equipment is cool, and the buttons you push and the screens we use and the touch tone, it's not printing like it used to be, right? It's like it's a video game,
Yeah.
Cool. So any final words that you'd like to say before I cut you off, because we got to go?
One quick, I got to tell one final story about that beautiful press sheet that's on the wall behind you. Around the time that we did that print, I went to a local industry dinner, and I didn't realize I was sitting next to a fairly sharp-eared reporter. So somebody says, "Hey, what's new? What are you working on?" And I said, "Wow, we just printed this thing for the Grateful Dead, And this guy, he perks up, and the next thing you know, there's a big article in the local paper about this secret project that we just did. And that got me in a lot of trouble.
That's funny.
It got us a lot of publicity, but it got me in a lot of trouble.
Oh, for sure. And everybody's listening for the Dead, right? So it's, it's exciting. Cool. So thank you for taking the time to chat.
My pleasure.
Love to hear about the company. You guys have always done great
Thank
things.
you.
Happy to hear what
Thank
you do for the community. And we'll come back around again, chat soon.
And Warren, I'll send you one of these. This is
Oh, cool.
hot off the press.
Awesome.
This is
I
pretty cool.
love getting print stuff.
You'll love
Excellent.
that.
Great. To everybody watching, thank you for watching. If you want to know more about Hazen Paper, you can check out the website. You can give John a call. Otherwise, stay safe, be good, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to come back and keep watching my videos. Thanks, everybody.